This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast with today's guest, Karen Gunton.
Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast on SelenaKnight.com. Stay ahead of the competition by opening your doors to business experts so you can learn, grow, and be inspired. Passionate about bringing business strategies to independent retailers, please welcome your host, Selena Knight.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm your host, Selena Knight, the retail strategist, and today on the show, we have the most beautiful, illuminating guest, Karen Gunton. First of all, I would love to say thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learn, grow, and be inspired, because hopefully you are going to be all of those things after you hear today's guest. But before we jump in to today's show, I want to tell you what has been going on at SKHQ, as we like to call it, SelenaKnight.com HQ. Wow. It has been so hectic in this lead up to Christmas. Now, if you're listening to this episode when it goes live, you've got about 10 more days until the Black Friday / Cyber Monday weekend approaches. And that means a chance to rake in an amazing amount of money. Now, I am one of those people who very, very rarely advocates having a sale. But sales do not necessarily mean discounts. So I am all for sales if it helps you move product and it still makes you money. But if you are just discounting, if that is the only type of promotion that you are running, it is doing damage to your brand. So I would love you to have a think about what kind of promotion that you could do over this upcoming silly season, because silly is exactly what it is, so that you can make more money in your business. Now, if you haven't already planned that out, or if you really struggle with planning out your promotions, then I want to tell you about the fabulous new product that I have just put together for you. It is called the Ultimate Sales and Promotions Kit. It is the complete system to creating a profitable retail promotion. Now, the fact is, if you run a promotion and you don't have a plan, you are unlikely to make the most amount of money that you can. So inside of this step-by-step marketing system, I will show you how to create a profitable marketing campaign. Inside it, you are going to find the step-by-step system, the promotions creator, the emails that you need to send out, a timeline that you can just check off each thing. I even put together over 50 social media and email templates that you can simply pop the text onto or pop your promotion onto so that you can have a cohesive marketing strategy. I'm going to show you the easiest way that you can make more money when it comes to sales. And you know what? The best part is I'm going to share with you my marketing budget calculator. Yes, this is an actual calculator where you can just plug in the numbers and it will tell you how much you should spend in order to meet your sales goals. Yay! It's so easy. So all of this is worth over $2,000, but I now have it on sale. It has just gone live yesterday. So you can be one of the first people to put together a profitable marketing campaign, a profitable promotion, a profitable sale for your retail store. If you would like to get all of this over $2,000 value for just $149, head over to SelenaKnight.com/holidays and you can start your promotions campaign straight away. Okay, now today's guest is Karen Gunton. Now, I have been following Karen for a very long time. And, she probably doesn't remember it, but I met her about 3 years ago when I was the president of a not-for-profit association. And then later on, I went on to give her the name for her diary that she was putting together. And so she put a call out saying, hey, I'm putting together the Lighthouse Project and I need a name for this workbook that I'm putting together. And I put my hand up and I said, Navigate. And sure enough, that was the name that she chose. So I was a little bit chuffed about that because I am not always the best when it comes to thinking of names for products and promotions and workbooks and all that kind of stuff. I'm usually very analytical and very straight to the point. But I was super excited because I got a copy of the Navigate planner before anybody else got it. Yay! These sorts of things, they're like little wins, but they're so exciting because I don't win an awful lot of things in my life. So that was really exciting for me. Anyway, Karen has a goal to help you shine. Now, we hear this word shine used a lot, don't we? You have to shine, you have to be bright, you have to stand out. But I love Karen's take on this whole, I'm going to call it a conundrum, that is the word shine and how we light up and how we show up and be our best self every single day. So in today's episode, Karen and I talk about maybe what happens when you don't feel like shining. How do you find that light? Maybe you don't feel like you have that inner shining light, or that you can even be shiny. She's also going to tell us about her concept of the lighthouse. And I love this concept. Please, you have to listen to today's episode just to understand the concept of the lighthouse. Now, Karen believes that we each have a purpose to discover and to live. We each deserve to shine our light in whatever way we choose. And we each deserve to feel accepted, to feel free, and to feel fulfilled and ignited. We are here to light up. So without further ado, please let me introduce to you the most illuminating Karen Gunton. Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. Today we have on the show the luminous Karen Gunton. Now, it's really funny because I actually met Karen 4 years ago when I was working for a not-for-profit, and I have been following her ever since then. And she's been through quite a few changes, which I am going to ask her about during the show. But Karen it's really hard because I didn't ask her to send a bio because I wanted to kind of tell you the person that she is. And so I thought, how am I going to put this into words? So what I did was I pulled up like her about page, and it's not even an about page, but here are the things that she identifies with. She's a trained teacher. So obviously she gets the guiding people. She is an unstucktor. Now, I love that word. The art of helping people getting unstuck. I love it. And I feel like that is one of the things that I'm good at as well. But she is also a light bringer. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. So welcome to the show, the beautiful Karen Gunton.
Yay, thank you so much for having me here.
No problems. We are going to be talking a lot about this concept of shine. But before we do, I want you to tell us a little bit about what's happened over the last 4 years, because when I first met you, you had a completely different business, and I was just showing you how you created this business planner, and still to this day I print it out and I use it and I love it to bits, even though it's not in print anymore. But now what you're doing is kind of less, I'm going to say less pushy and more kind of pulley, if that makes sense.
I love that actually, because that's how it feels to me as well. So that's really cool.
So tell us a little bit about how you were back then 4 years ago, where you are now, and how you help people.
Sure. Well, 4 years ago, I was in sort of a period of transition. So that's kind of a really perfect middle point, actually, to my story, which starts, as you said, I was a teacher. I was a science teacher over in Canada, and I'm in Australia now. And we moved here, and I missed having something of my own. And I sort of accidentally started a business when I used to do a lot of photography and design work, and people started asking me how much I charge. And I thought, wow, I wonder if, that's something I could do. And so I kind of threw myself into learning about business because I'm a teacher. That's what we do. We'd get all the books and we study and we try to figure things out. And so I accidentally started a business and started talking about business. And that's, when you would have first come across my work, I had a blog called Build a Little Biz. And my idea with that was kind of a thing on the side. And I thought, I'll just share, what I'm learning and share what helps me, or share what I've figured out along the way, and maybe it'll help someone else. And around that time of 4 years ago, I was in this sort of phase of transition with a business that wasn't lighting me up anymore, and a blog that was so fun, but, wasn't a business, and wondering, what the heck am I doing here? What do I want to do? And around that time, it's probably almost about 5 years ago now, around that time of feeling kind of lost and stuck and uncertain and kind of frazzled, and like I was crazy trying to figure out what the heck I was doing, I came across a quote. I was on Pinterest and I was scrolling as you do, and I came across this quote image, and the quote is one from Anne Lamott that says, "Lighthouses don't go running all over an island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining." And when I read that, it was like one of those aha moments that is a moment while you're experiencing it. Because it's like my whole body changed and deflated, and a breath came in, and I thought, oh my God, that's it. That's what I want. And I think that's why I resonated with you just saying that pushing versus pulling thing, because I felt like I was chasing and pushing and scrambling, and I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I wanted to feel like I was a lighthouse, like I was lit up from within, and I was leading with that instead of always scrambling. And so began a bit of a quest to figure out what it would mean to feel like I was ignited and lit up, and like a spark had sort of been ignited within me. And that would be around the time that you would have probably we came in contact with each other, was around that time. And I spent quite a long time sort of thinking about what it means to feel ignited. And I quickly realized that wasn't enough, that there's actually more to the story than that, because you can decide that you're ready to shine your light in the world. And a lot of people use that word, shine. But just because you've decided to shine doesn't mean that the rest of what you need will just magically appear, and it's hard to sometimes figure out how to stay ignited and to reignite yourself when you lose track, and how to stand tall and allow your light to reach others. And so the lighthouse for me became, more than an inspiring quote. It actually became a framework of what I needed to build and who I needed to be, in order to have that goal of standing there shining and touching other people with my work, and not feeling like I was pushing, but rather, just standing in my truth and being on purpose and leading from that place. So that's where I am now. I eventually closed down that blog, built a little biz, and I still do share a lot of, strategies and ideas for how we can share our work with the world. But I'm led from a different place now, I think, of understanding that it's more than just some boxes to tick, some strategies to sort of tick off with our business and say, yeah, I did that, and yeah, I did that, because that will only get you so far. There's all this mindset stuff and this purpose stuff and so much more to the story, and that's what really interests me now. Yeah,
and we get caught up in this, the mindset thing. It feels a little bit woo-woo, but it is so true. Can you just say that quote again? Because I swear it gives me goosebumps.
Sure. So it goes like this. Lighthouses don't go running all over the island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining.
That is so true, isn't it? Like, obviously it's true, but it just, I think I don't know, but maybe there are some people who are listening who are like, I don't know what the freaking hell you're talking about. But there are people who are just like me who goosebumps. It's like, wow, this makes sense.
Well, it kind of puts a picture in your head, doesn't it? It puts, and that's one of the things I like about the lighthouse as a symbol, because it means different things to different people. Some people will be drawn to one aspect of that imagery and think, oh, yes, I want that. Or yes, I could do that. Or yes, I know someone like that. It brings an image to your mind, and it's different for all of us, but I think powerful in and of itself.
Do you think that in order to be a lighthouse, you have to be a powerful person?
I think you have to be an empowered person. Ooh. You need to decide that the only person who is in charge of the way that you shine is you. And I think that you need to define words like that, like powerful, ignited, empowered, leader, marketing, all these words that are in our space. I think you need to define them in a way that really aligns with who you are and what you want. You have to define success. You have to define, whatever that idea of powerful is. Because I know some people, think of the lighthouse and they think, oh, I don't want to change the world with my light. I don't want to beam my light out everywhere. I just want to help one other person. And I think that's what you need to focus on, is what it means to you. Because trying to be a lighthouse based on what you think other people think you should do is never going to work. You're just going to wobble and fall, You're just going to have a structure that serves other people but doesn't serve you. And I think you have to build the vehicle that allows you to shine, that serves your light and works for you, not anybody else.
So you don't have to be an extrovert to be a lighthouse.
No. Oh, no, absolutely not. I think we sometimes think that, this idea of, when I think of this idea of a lighthouse standing there shining, really, there's a lot of different components of it. And that's kind of what I teach now, that each component, matters. But you are standing in your truth with your feet sort of firmly planted in the ground, with what you're here to do in the world, what you're here to serve with your products and with your message and with maybe a community that you build or with something that you sell or the way that you help people. And you stand in that, and you stand from a place of confidence in that's what you're here to do. And when you shine your light, it's not about being an extrovert, and it's not about sort of waving your arms in the air and saying, hey, over here, here's my thing. But rather it's standing, and that's why I like the lighthouse as an example. Your light is beaming out to the people who need what you do. You focus on your boats, and you focus on the way that you best connect with them. And if you're an introvert, you have amazing gifts in the way that you connect with people, just like extroverts have their own gifts. And you get to build that into your vehicle and do it in a way that absolutely suits you.
How do you know if you're shining or not?
That's a good question.
How do you know if you can be shiny?
Well, I think everybody is here to shine. That's what I think our purpose is.
Okay.
And I think that when we probably can all recognize that feeling of when we're not, that feeling of that you maybe don't feel like you have a purpose, or you feel like you don't have a light to shine, and you're asking that question, well, who am I? What do I do? And why does it matter? It can also feel like you're a bit lost. That you're floating out there at sea and you're lost and not really sure what you're doing, or you're scrambling. It can feel a lot like resistance too, where you have an idea or you feel called towards something, but you aren't ready, or you procrastinate, or you maybe self-sabotage to prevent your light from shining too bright. Because I think a lot of the time it's not our fear of not ever shining that holds us back. It's rather our fear of what happens if we do shine, and where will that take us, and what are the consequences of, turning on our light and allowing ourselves to be seen and to stand tall in the way that we are here to do. So I think when you are feeling lit up from within, often that feels like excitement. It feels like you have a purpose. It feels like you know your why. It feels like you have a vision that pulls you or calls to you. It can feel like a bit of an adventure, that you might not have all the answers or all the clarity, but you just know that these are the steps you need to take, and you're willing to be courageous and take them. And it can feel a bit scary, but the good kind of scary, the tingly kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I think it feels like that sense of alignment. And I like the lighthouse as a symbol in that sense, because you can feel it in your spine when you think of it, that you're sort of doing things in a way that suits you and that lights you up and that works well for you, because your spine gets straighter and you sit up tall in your chair and you think, yeah, I could do that. So I think there are certainly we can feel it physically in our body. We can see it in the way things flow around us. We can feel it in our emotions and in our energy, our excitement. And the other thing is that we can see the way it connects with others. When people say to you, oh, thanks for sharing that. That was really helpful. Or, wow, I'm so glad you said that. It's nice to know I'm not alone. Or, oh, I've been looking for this. I'm so glad you have that on offer. When people say things like that to you, that's evidence that your light has touched them, that you did indeed show up and shine, and that light touched them and it resonated with them or it helped them. And I think that we need to anchor into that evidence, because it shows us that our light does indeed matter. And it shows us the ways that we can continue to connect with people.
I was thinking when you were saying all those phrases that you hear back, the one that I quite often get is, I never thought about it like that before, which is different, isn't it? It's not it's not a thank you, but it is a thank you in the sense that people are like, wow, you've made me think about something in a completely different way that is going to benefit. It's usually because it's going to benefit them. So yeah, it's something I hear back all the time is, I've never really thought about it like that before.
Yeah. And that's beautiful evidence that the way that you show up and share something actually matters. And I know a lot of people sort of feel like, well, you've asked the question about what if you're, not an extrovert? And that's one of the sort of barriers that sometimes people have, about this idea of sort of standing tall and shining bright. But another one is this idea that, well, I'm not the expert. I'm not a guru. I'm not a thought leader. I'm not a, fill in the blank. And standing tall and shining your light like a lighthouse isn't about being the expert. It's not about being, the guru or whatever it is you have, whatever standard you have in your head that's kind of preventing you from getting there. It's about adding your voice to a conversation. It's about adding your perspective or your sort of way of looking at the world, or the way that you approach it, or the idea that you have to add. Because the truth is that, there could be 7,000 other people, out there shining just like you do, but none of them is quite the same as you. And there's all those boats out at sea, and a lot of them don't need the light that you shine. A lot of them don't even notice that you're there. But you focus on the ones that do, and you focus on what they need to hear from you, or the little thing that matters to them, the way of looking at things. And I think that idea of sort of standing tall like a lighthouse and focusing on your boat out there, that one boat out there that needs you, really helps you to cut down on the noise, and to show up in your way and trust that it will connect to that one person, who does resonate with what you said.
That analogy is so much nicer than the one that we hear, which is, not everybody's going to love you, or not everybody has to like you. We hear that a lot, especially in business, where, you aren't going, not everybody is going to resonate with your message. Not everybody is going to like every product in your store. Not everybody is going to like your opinions. But there will be that group of people who does. So this idea of the lighthouse, for me, it's just, I quite often come back to this. As I said, I read your emails and I follow you and I've got your books and all that kind of stuff. So the concept of the lighthouse for me is, it always kind of pulls you back. It's very grounding, obviously, physically and metaphorically. It's such a great embodiment of what it is you're trying to share. And I guess one of the questions I have for you is, what if you have this big dream to be that giant shiny boat, the giant shiny lighthouse for all of these boats that need you, and it doesn't happen?
Well, what I always say is, the truth of it is that no matter where we're at on this journey, we can feel that way. You could have a list of 10,000 and feel like your message isn't resonating, or that people aren't engaging, or that it's still not where you need to be. That feeling, I think, that we're not quite there yet, or we haven't quite got it right, or there's more work to do, or there's, a bigger goal, a bigger dream still, that I don't think that really goes away, especially for people who are building a business, because that's part of what drives us, right?
Yep.
Is to share what we do with others and to have that impact, or to really, offer something that helps people or makes a difference in their lives. And so I think that's part of what drives us. And I think that what the times personally for me, for sure, and also with the people that I talk with and work with, where you feel like you're just not there, you just haven't, it's not clicking, or it's not having an impact. What I always say, and it doesn't matter where you are on the journey, I always say, come back to that one. Focus on the one vote. Start with one. And even as you grow, and now you're maybe reaching way more than one, you're reaching hundreds, you're reaching thousands, you're reaching tens of thousands. I think when you focus on the one, and you start with one, and you lead from that place of speaking to one or connecting with one, it is very grounding. And it also is such a doable goal, like if we focus on the one person that we can touch, or that we can make a difference to, or help or serve, that's an easy win. When the one person messages you back and says, thank you, that was helpful, you did it. You did that. If you are writing a guest post for, if you're writing for Huffington Post, or if you're on somebody's podcast and you start to think about, the tens of thousands of people that you would love to touch, it can put you into a bit of a space of what could I possibly say? What could I possibly do, that's going to make a difference? But if you bring it back to one, and you start with one, you can think of what to say. You can think of what might help them today. You could think of something to post on Facebook, or on Instagram. And you get to experience that win of touching one and build on from there.
Do you think this all comes back to knowing why you are here, what you want from life?
I think that why you're here, why you're doing what you do is really important. And I think that that's like the fuel inside. If you think of it like this vehicle that is here to serve what you're here to do, the why is what drives you. The why is what adds fuel to your tank so you can actually keep showing up and shining. But I think sometimes why can be a tricky thing for people, because we wonder if our why is strong enough, and if it connects us to what other people want as well. I know you use this quote as well from Simon Sinek about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Yeah. But I think there's more to that, that Simon didn't mention in his famous TED Talk, and that's that you won't buy what you do unless you know why you do it. It's both sides. It's like this idea of what resonates is partly what other people are saying. Oh yeah, that resonates. But it also has to resonate with you, because if it doesn't light you up in some way, God, it's hard to talk about it, isn't it? Like it's hard to keep showing up. It's hard to beam that light out if you got nothing in your tank. And, I think for businesses, we talk about marketing, and we talk about communication and selling, and there's a lot of strategic work that we can do. There's a lot that we can learn. And as I said, we can tick the boxes, but you can tick every box. You could podcast and blog and YouTube and newsletters and email and, social media and webinar. I mean, you can keep ticking those boxes, but if you have nothing that's driving you, that's lighting you up within, it's really hard to keep showing up. And I think that's the sort of piece that we sometimes forget, that it comes from both sides, that we want what we do to connect with others, but it also has to start with us. We need to connect with it ourselves. And if there is some sort of discrepancy there where we've lost our mojo for it, or maybe we didn't even have it in the first place. We've just been ticking boxes. It's not sustainable for very long because there's just no fuel in the tank.
That just makes so much sense, because literally before I got on this call, I was talking with one of my academy members, and I said to her, "What was your why when you filled it out?" And she said, "Oh, I didn't do that module." And I said, "But
I just skipped that bit.
I just skipped that bit. That bit was too hard, and it is hard, right?
It's hard.
And I said to her, "All right, so let's try and do a little bit of it now. Why do you go into your shop every single day?" And she said, "Well, I want people to come into the store and buy beautiful things." And she has a gift shop. And I said, right, so basically you want to be able to curate a range of products that when people give them, they will feel as good giving them as the person is going to feel receiving them. Because when we give a gift, it is about us as much as it is about the other person, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We give to make ourselves feel better, but we also give to make somebody else feel amazing. And I think this is one of the qualities that we have as humans that is, it's so hard to replicate anywhere else, but we give to make ourselves feel better in some way, shape or form. And she said to me, "Oh my God, that's it. I want to give happiness." And I was thinking, you know what? Every time I do this exercise with somebody, the answer is always about happiness. Is that they want the other person to be happier. And I'll admit, it's the same for me. I want to change the world. So I want people to have that happiness. I want them to have freedom. And I sometimes not doubt myself, but I sometimes think, wow, my happiness is actually connected to their happiness. And I don't always know if that is a good thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that we create in our business the very thing that helps others that we ourselves need as well. So you crave, that's part of your why, right? Is to help people have more happiness and do the work that they're here to do in the world. But it's also what you want for yourself. So even as you're serving others, you are actually serving yourself, in the same way, because I believe that we create the very thing that we need. We teach what we need to learn, and we sell the products that we ourselves, want to use, and we, or that have changed our lives, or that, there's this really close connection. And I think in particular with people who have businesses, because this business journey, it's crazy.
It's a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah, it is. It is. And only crazy people would do this.
Oh, yeah.
We're here for a reason, and it's far beyond the product that we're here to sell, because we wouldn't stay on this journey if it was just about the product. We would, get a job and sell the product in another way, really, for someone else to do all the hard work. So we actually are here for the challenge and for the roller coaster, for the learning, for the growth and the evolution. And I think, going back to this idea of why, I think it's one of the reasons why it's so important to come back to your why, because as our businesses grow and as we take the steps we need to take, we evolve as well as the business often, even if it's just a small evolution, it grows. And as that happens, our why needs to support that as well. So oftentimes, and you've probably seen this as well, when people start out, their why is, maybe something like, well, I needed to start something because I, wasn't working anymore. I was on maternity leave and I wanted my own thing, or I was really talented at doing this. And so I started to make it and sell it. Like, we have a why that drives us at the beginning, to get going and to put ourselves out there and to give it a go. But as we begin to want to make more connections and touch more people and reach more people and get our message more clear and more impactful, like all of those steps we take, our why needs to support that, so otherwise we're just back to ticking boxes again. And I think it's so important as business owners that we come back to it. And I kind of see it like, I use the word onion because of the layers, but really to me, it's more of a spiral because you peel away sort of this outward spiral, this outward layer, and you get closer and closer to the core of it, and so your why gets deeper and stronger, which keeps that fuel inside of you going, and allows you to keep showing up and keep learning and keep trying. And then you come back to it again and do some more peeling.
I don't think there's an end to it. You never get to the heart, I don't think.
No, I don't think so, because, I mean, I know this is such a cliche, but they say that, don't they, that it's not actually the destination, it's the journey that matters, right? And you never, I think, truly get to, that purpose. That's, one of the things you asked about earlier, that sense of purpose and feeling like, is this what I'm here to do in the world? If you're asking that question, you're doing it. You are exploring purpose. Your purpose is to explore your purpose. Otherwise we live a life that doesn't feel very fulfilling or very lit up, and so if you're asking those questions like, oh, is this what I'm here to do? Is this really having the impact that I want to have? Am I really touching enough people? Am I sharing this in a way that resonates? I think if you're asking those questions, you are already far ahead of a lot of people who don't even know there's a question yet to ask.
I ask those damn questions every single day.
Well, pat yourself on the back because, like you said, the work is never over. Like your lighthouse is never fully done. You're always working on renovations and decluttering and strengthening and all of these things. And so, I can't imagine. And, you could find the person you admire most in the world, the entrepreneur, the thought leader, the person you just think is like, whoa, doing amazing things in the world. And I bet if you asked any one of those people that, kind of come to mind, they would tell you that they're still learning. They're still trying to figure it out. They're still asking themselves, is this what I meant to do in the world? Or maybe there's something more, another step I still need to take. Because if we stop doing that, then I can't imagine any one of us on this journey would be okay with being in that kind of a stagnant place for very long.
No, and that's actually the word I just had in my head, stagnant.
Yeah.
So
and I think we probably all know people who don't ask those questions. I mean, I do. I know people who have jobs and they're very content in their life of, kind of stability and sameness and safety. It's all very lovely and they're very happy and they look at the stuff I talk about and they're like, what?
Why would you do this to yourself?
I'm talking about shining your light and building a lighthouse. I just want to go to my job and come home and watch Netflix. And that's cool. Like that's the journey they're here for. But I think in particular, entrepreneurs, we've chosen a different path.
Yes.
And we're actually on this path because we're supposed to explore this stuff and peel away some layers and ask some more questions.
I love it. Now, speaking of doing the work, can you give us some ideas about your concept of self-leadership?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking about that idea of self-leadership, because I think at the core, that's what this, whole lighthouse analogy is really about. It's kind of a framework for how we become self-leaders. And self-leadership really is the idea that, it's up to you. Like, nobody's going to come along and tell you how to figure this out. I mean, there's certainly people who support us on the journey, and there's absolutely people who will teach us some things that will help us. But it starts with you, and it ends with you as well. Like, if you are stuck, you need to have the drive to explore what it is that's got you feeling stuck and actually want to do the work to get yourself unstuck. Or choose the supporters and the mentors that will help you. On this entrepreneur journey, we don't have like a CEO who's going to come and say, okay, Karen, so in order to, meet your next quota, these are the steps you need to take. Like, we have to be our own boss and we have to be our own leader, and we have to look to ourselves and take responsibility for where we're at and where we want to go. And recognize that it really begins and ends with us. And And that's why I actually think, we're on this journey, as I said, is because we're here to do that work. We're here to explore. There's no personal growth journey more powerful, I don't think, than the business journey. It pushes you into these places of doing this work, of the way that we show up and the way that we feel ignited and the way that we get ourselves unstuck. So
this is not something we can outsource.
No, that's exactly right. You can't outsource it. And you can, as I said, you can learn from people and you can get help in a lot of ways. But you still have to be the one to make that choice. Nobody's going to come through your front door and say, all right, I can see that you need to build some confidence and some self-worth. Let me teach you how it's done. I'll take you by the hand and I'll drag you along this pathway to get you there. And nobody does that.
I don't know. I feel like I do that sometimes to people.
Yeah. And I do as well, because I'm in that mentorship role as well. But you would know the same, that somebody who is working with you in that way and looking to you for that kind of guidance has to meet you halfway.
Yes.
You could share every strategy in the world, but if they are not willing to do the work or to explore or to try or to get out of their little safe space, then you could try anything you want. You can drag somebody kicking and screaming along the pathway, but it's not going to actually do the work unless they're doing the work.
No, they won't get the results.
Yeah, and I really believe that we need to be our own leader, And the other thing I like about that sort of idea of self-leadership is I think it really honors you and your journey, and it recognizes that we each have our own path and we each have our own stuff. I might struggle with worthiness stuff, and you might be like, oh my gosh, I have all the self-worth in the world, but I have troubles taking action. I need somebody to kick me in the butt to put something out there. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's easy for me. I can just put stuff out there. No worries. We each have our strengths. We each have our challenges. We each have our own stuff that we need to, kind of explore and work on or clear, in order to keep going. And we each have our own definition of what success is and what that looks like. And so I love this idea that we can each walk our own path, but we can walk beside others. We can lift each other up in the way that we show up and shine, and we can inspire others and we can support each other along the way. But it's also safe to be you and do it your way, and safe to take your journey and focus on your stuff and do differently to what you see other people doing as well.
Yeah, I was just in my mind, I don't know why, but you were telling that, just saying those things. And I had in my head that movie that Reese Witherspoon did where she walked along for months along like the Appalachian Trail. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
You're all going,
Wild? Was that Wild?
Yes. Yeah. You're all going, yeah, that's what she did. Anyway, in my head, I was thinking, so many people walk that same path, right? They all walk along that same path and see the exact same things, and they all end up at the same place. But for every single person who went there, they take away something different and they feel something different, and they will have seen different things just because of the very nature that we see the things we need to see. And so, you were just talking, and in my head, I just had that vision of her walking down the path in the movie, and she had people around her at times, and then at other times she didn't. But they all end up at the same place. They all took the same journey, but for every single person, it was completely different.
Yeah. And, if she went and did that walk again, it would be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on the time of life.
Yeah. I don't know why that popped into my head. I don't know why I had to share it, but that was just the analogy that came to me.
No, I love that. And the other thing it makes me think of too is like this idea that, when you think of a leader, that sort of follow the leader is just steps on a journey. They're just guiding the way, whether they need to be a trailblazer or whether they need to follow a proven path or whether they need to kind of go exploring where no one has gone before or, try some different tools in order to make the path easier. When you think about that idea, I almost sort of picture like the scout leader or something, that's kind of saying, come on, everyone, let's go on this hiking trail. But when you think about self-leadership, you just get to put that in your own basket. You get to decide what is the path for you. Are you taking the trailblazing path? Are you taking the tried and tested path? Are you going to be the rebel and do things your own way? Are you going to go with a group of people because that works for you? Or are you going to be the one who is the extroverted type and gathering up everybody to come along with you on the journey? Or are you going to be, the more introverted, solo type who's going to go and just explore on their own? Like, it just honors you, and it also puts the responsibility in your hands at the same time.
And there's no right or wrong, is there?
No,
it's what you need it to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it honors where you're at right now as well. Like sometimes we think, oh gosh, I'm not there and I've not done this and I'm not, haven't achieved that yet. Or, I feel like I'm just spinning in circles or, sometimes we think, oh, we're bad at this. We need to fix this. We need to change that. But sometimes I think we get so worried about all the things we aren't doing or aren't being, and that we forget to honor where we are right now, which is where we're meant to be, right in this place. And we also forget to honor how far we've come. When you think of the leader, you get to look back at the road so far and say, wow, I've actually done a lot. I've learned a lot, and I've tried this and I failed at that, but I learned this, and you get to honor that. And I don't think we do enough of that.
No, I 100% agree. It's one of the things that I think we are all, especially overachievers, we're terrible at looking back at how far we've come.
Yeah. And, the other thing that we do is we carry around a whole bunch of garbage. Like we carry around these heavy weights of, oh, I sucked at that, or I failed at that, or that was a flop and that person doesn't like me. And, I got that horrible comment and somebody returned that. And, we can carry that stuff around with us like these rocks that are taking up all the weight in our suitcase. But we don't put as much weight to all the wins, all of the little moments, the little comments where somebody said, yeah, thank you. That really helped me. Or that was such a neat way of looking at things. And I'd like to see us as our own self-leader to put that stuff in our backpack and carry that with us because it's so much more, it serves us much better, that kind of weight, that kind of anchor to hang on to.
And just focusing on the positives, the why, the going back to that why, focusing on if I've just helped that one person change or be the thing that they want to be. Why are we not why is our cup not so much more, why isn't it overflowing compared to that tiny one drop that was negativity? That's
right. And that just made me think too, like when we were talking about the why and if your why is, as you were mentioning that lady and to really, she's selling happiness. She's providing a space. She's providing a space for people to come and choose something that makes them happy and makes someone else happy. And so if that's your why, like let's collect the evidence of that proof that we did it. Our why, somebody just reflected back to us what our very why was. And let's collect that. Like sometimes we'll collect, the nice things people say or we celebrate, I had this many sales this month, or we celebrate, I had this many people, join my email list. But I think it would be really cool to seek out and really anchor into the things that people tell you that are a reflection of your why. How powerful would your why become if every time somebody said to that lady, oh, this is going to make someone so happy, or I feel so excited that I'm going to give this to someone, I can't wait. Like anything that felt like that moment that you're wanting to create.
That's just proof. God. Proof you are doing the thing that you were put here to do.
Yeah. And it's a different kind of measurement of success, and a different kind of measurement of a goal reached.
And it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that you actually have something that can help people if they are struggling to ignite their mission.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the why, and letting that sort of fuel you and excite you, and the way that I teach people about that is actually to start to tap into what I think is in a way even bigger than a why, and that is a mission. And the mission is sort of that combination we were talking about, the thing that matters to you but also matters to others, and allows you to show up and share your message in a way that feels even more sort of exciting and powerful. I always say to people, it's a lot easier to sort of walk into a room and say, I'm on a mission and I have something I want to tell you about because I'm on this mission, than it is to say, I have something to sell. It's a different kind of energy, and it's a different way of adding to the message you share and the things that you communicate, and your attempts to sort of connect with that one boat out there. So so over on my website at KarenGunton.com, if you click the free button, there's a little challenge. I call it the soapbox challenge, to help people start to tap into that kind of that core at the center, the juicy core of the why, and start to let that be the mission that you show up in the world with as a way to connect. So the example that you shared, with that Academy member who was talking about happiness, right away my brain is like, how cool it would be to really tap into that dream, that mission of helping people, feel happy and spread happiness with the gifts they give. That's a cool mission.
It's like being Santa Claus.
Yeah, it is. I feel like Oprah, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. Like when you tap into that kind of excitement, it just allows you to show up and shine your light in a way that feels even more authentic. And it doesn't, again, have to be about being an extrovert or being powerful or even changing the world. Like you can focus on changing the world for one other person by saying, I see you and I see what you're struggling with or what you need, and I'm on a mission to help people like you.
I was going to ask you to leave us with one tip, but I reckon that was it. You beat me to it.
Yeah, try the soapbox challenge and see what happens when you allow yourself to tap into that. Gabby Bernstein has this great phrase that she says, when you are moved by your message moves the masses. And I love that because it reminds me that of both sides of it, that you need to feel ignited and excited, lit up from within like the lighthouse, but you also need to be touching other people. And if you can tap into that, to what moves you, to like I said to you before, I often, will have a talk like this and start to cry and get choked up because I'm so passionate about my own mission to help people shine their light in the world that I often will cry. Like I'll often get so emotional about the things that I see or the stories I hear, and it touches me deeply. But the more we allow ourselves to feel moved, to really feel moved by what it is we're sharing and talking about and the way that we show up in the world, the more people we can actually touch, because that's the real stuff. People, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. But at the core of that is people buy from people. People connect with people. And if we can show up and show a piece of ourselves within our mission, within our why, and within the stuff that we sell, that's where the real connection comes from, I think.
And you have done just another excellent segue to my last question, all about selling, which is, are you an online store shopper or an in-store shopper?
I'm both. And the reason I'm both is I have, I go with where I feel connection, to tell you the truth. And so there's some shops that I adore because I feel a connection to the mission, to the purpose, to the, to the dream, or to what's there. And the same for online as well. I'm such a sucker for things like Kickstarter. I love the videos people create and to show their purpose, their why, their mission, their dream, their idea. And I'm often, watching those kinds of things, crying or getting choked up because I just think that's what's really cool in the world, that the way that people show up in that way.
And that's the perfect ending to say thank you so much for sharing all of this knowledge. And also, we've never had that answer to, I usually say what makes you go wow, but you just kind of went there automatically. And we haven't had that answer before, but it just goes to show that if you put your heart and soul into something and you can convey that message, then you will find that tribe of people who want to buy what it is that you have to sell.
And the other thing that you find are people, even if it's not what they want to buy, they're still excited to help you share it. Because, the people in your circle have an easier time of getting behind a mission and a why and helping you to share that oftentimes than they do, more simply a product, because the product is, either is for them or it's not for them. But a mission is something a little bit bigger than that. And a mission is something that people will help you to spread, and people will help you to share with other people in their lives.
A great way of thinking of it. You've got me thinking myself, actually.
You'll have to go do the soapbox challenge.
Yeah, I will. As I said, I got all choked up on the first video on the homepage. So I had to give myself some breathing space. I'll go back and do the challenge after this video. But thank you again. And if people would like to go to do that quiz, can you just tell us again where it is?
Yep. So at KarenGunton.com is my home space online. And if you click on the free button, you'll see a variety of freebies. But the Soapbox Challenge to ignite your mission is there. And I think it's a great way to explore this idea that we've been talking about here of tapping into your why and connecting with your boat out there who needs what you do.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I hope to chat to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to chat with you. I got the sense that we could just hang out all weekend and.
Oh yeah, I'm very mindful of that. I think you and I could talk for several hours, but we can do that off air.
Yeah, let's.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.